Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today for this training, my brand new training called Muse, which is all about unlocking your feminine magnetism and awakening your inner guidance. This has been on my heart to create for a little while because I've definitely been feeling a shift in the way that I live, I work, the way I show up in the world, I interact with people. And a lot of this has been due to leaning more into my feminine energy and trusting that I can be magnetic. I don't need to grip, I don't need to force things. And I've been working with a lot of clients who I've been sharing this sentiment with, speaking to lots of women that have been having the same realization that they can be their own source of inspiration. They have all the power within themselves. And that's really what has inspired this very special one off training and a whole new way of working. And I cannot wait to dive in with you today to share all about Muse. I know you're going to love it. If you are here and you are ready to reconnect with that divine feminine energy, you're ready to let go of the hustle. You're ready to learn how to be magnetic, how to listen to your intuition. Of course, this training is for you. So let's dive in. And a little bit about me, if you don't know already, I am a certified coach, personal trainer, and Reiki practitioner. And I am a huge believer in taking a holistic approach to wellness and well being that really combines the mind, the body, and the spirit. I think when we just focus on one and we let the other one slide, we never see the results we want to. We don't end up feeling the way we want to because it is this holistic approach. And my passion is helping women just like you to connect with your divine feminine energy and to go with the flow of life rather than always feeling like you need to be on, you need to hustle, you need to be in your masculine. Because I know from personal experience working in the corporate world for well over 10 years, multiple episodes of burnout, constant sickness, chronic acne, you name it, I probably had it. I was so disconnected from my intuition. I was living so far from where I actually desired to be and was living a life that I felt like I should be living rather than a life that I truly wanted to live, that I just ended up really unwell. And this really started me on a journey of connecting or reconnecting, should I say, with my divine feminine. Because for so long we've been taught to live in our masculine and our wounded masculine. We're always told the harder you push, the further you go. Whereas the feminine says, I trust that when I take my action, that it's aligned action and I will get where I need to be in divine timing. I don't need to force, I don't need to rush. And this journey really has transformed my life. And I know it's going to transform yours too. So today's session then is going to be broken into a few parts. First up, we're going to talk about surrendering and letting go, learning how to detach, release that attachment, and allowing the universe to meet you halfway in the co-creation process. So many people think of manifestation as I ask, I believe, I receive, but there's so many nuances that I love to share with my clients and ways that they can supercharge their manifestations without feeling like they're constantly clinging to them or like they have to be writing out their desires 55 times every day. Because who has time for that? I know I definitely don't. And it's more about who you are being than who you are doing. That is the feminine essence. That is the feminine way of life. So many people say, I want to live in my feminine energy. What do I do? And it always makes me laugh because it's so much more about being. It's about having awareness. It's about checking in with yourself, asking where you are being too clingy, asking where you're forcing, asking where you're trying to make someone do something that they don't want to do, but you are fearful of the outcome if they don't honor your desires. And we're going to do a really fun exercise. You may want to get a pen and paper, and I'm going to be sharing how you can discern what your part is in the manifestation process and what you can hand over to the universe. Then next up, we're going to be tapping into your intuition, and I'll be helping you to understand your emotions and to connect with your inner wisdom. I often think that intuition is like a muscle. For a lot of us, we don't access our intuition as much as we could. And women, especially, are so intuitive. The amount of women I talk to, and they say, I have a hunch, or I have this gut feeling, or I have this knowing. And they don't even realize that that's the intuition speaking, because we have been so conditioned to live in the logic, to live in the masculine, to know that when I take myself from A to B, this will happen. But when you are guided intuitively and you allow yourself to be led and you take action on that intuition, those nudges, that's when the magic of life really unfolds and you realize that you are your own inspiration. You are the muse for your own life. You don't need to be looking elsewhere, checking what everyone else is doing, comparing yourself, because you say, hang on, I know my own inner compass. I can tap into my intuition. I can be my own guidance. And the result of surrendering and listening to your intuition is that you allow the magic to unfold in your life like a beautiful rose, creating this abundant life that's free from relentless striving, from being self critical and judgmental and feeling like you're not where you're meant to be yet, or you're behind everyone else in life, or you should have started sooner. All of these voices are the voice of judgment and the voice of ego. The feminine voice, she's much softer, she's compassionate, she's like that nurturing hug from a mother. That's the way I often describe it. So if you've ever worked with me or you've done one of my courses like the Feminine Flow, my 5-week feminine energy course, you'll know I love to start a session with meditating and checking in with ourselves, setting an intention for today as well. Because up until now, up until you're listening to this today or watching this, when have you taken the time to sit in silence, to be the open channel, to set the intention? And I'll guess for most of us, we haven't done that yet, or we say, I'm putting it on the list, I'll do it later. But there are so many moments throughout the day when we can reconnect with ourselves. We can have a mini meditation. So I'm going to invite you then to join me today to reconnect with your soul, the whispers of your intuition, and to set that intention. So, if you are in a comfortable space at home, feel free to close your eyes, get comfy. If you are listening to this while you're driving or you're working, or you're in the middle of something, do keep listening. But maybe keep your eyes open. Can you focus on your breath? If you're in an office and you can't slip away, can you just take a moment to put your hand on your belly or one hand on your heart, or to check in with your body and to send it love and to feel gratitude for being here today, for prioritizing this time, for remembering that you are worthy of creating the life that is on your vision board. Your desires are in your heart because they are your destiny. So when you're ready, taking a few deep cleansing breaths in, holding at the top, and then gently releasing. Breathing in again, feeling this cool air nourishing every cell in your body. Hold at the top and prepare to release any tension that you've been holding on to. Let it go, the big feel those shoulders drop in, roll them back, align your posture, and just take a minute to be. How often do we get distracted in the day? How often do you find yourself putting yourself at the bottom of the list and saying, Once I've done everything else, then I can focus on me. It's time today to set an intention, ground into this feeling of your inner power, of your inner light. Remember that you have all of the answers you need inside of you. So be in that open channel to the guidance around you. Ask yourself, what do I need to know today? What intention can I set? Feeling you ground back into this space through your root chakra. Feeling that connection to the room around you, where you are today. As you take one last cleansing breath and you slowly flutter open your eyes and join me for today's session. So first up, I would love to share all about surrendering and letting go. Surrendering has been something I've struggled with a lot in my own life because, as I mentioned earlier, we are so often told that if we can just make someone do the thing we want them to do, if we can just get the job, then that's the answer to eternal happiness. And life will be incredible as we know it. But when we don't surrender, what we're actually saying is that I don't trust my path. I don't trust the universe. I don't trust my inner guidance. I feel like I have to force every single thing. And I'm sure you've had relationships in life, maybe you've had jobs where you feel like you've had to constantly nag people and push and push and push. And how does that feel? Take a moment to bring that memory to mind. And then check in with your body. You probably feel a little bit icky inside. Oh, you probably feel like your shoulders are slumping. You're looking down because that's not your highest, most authentic self coming through. That's your wounded self, the wounded feminine who wants to be clingy and control everything. That's her taking over. But when you realign, you come back into your power and you remember that the more you loosen your grip, the more your hands are open to receive. That is such a beautiful way to live in life. And I can think of so many times when I've tried to force jobs or experiences to happen. One I talk about a lot is when I was living in London and I got offered a head of design job at the age of 26, which was out of the ordinary. And I was so excited because I'd worked so hard. And during this time of working hard, my mindset actually suffered a lot. My body suffered a lot. I was trying to control so much that I basically had disordered eating, I was over exercising, and I was punishing my body all the time and thinking, why don't I look like this? I should be like this, and forcing and trying to control. And so I had this job and I was offered it. And then I went to America for a holiday just for a few weeks. And I can remember saying to my sister, something's not right. They would have contacted me by now because they're drawing up the contract. I don't think this job is going through. And I can remember I got back to the office and the first day they said, can we have a meeting? And I knew that something was wrong or something was up. And they said, we lost the account and we're all going to have to find other jobs. And the job you were promised, it's no longer on the table. And we have a week more with you. And then you need to go on your merry way because I was a freelancer. And I was devastated. But I can remember pretty much everyone on my team had either lived in Australia or they were Australian. And they said, now is the time to get out your comfort zone. Now is the time to live. You don't need to be taking a full-time job. You're 26. Go out and see the world. You've got money saved up. Do it before you have the mortgage. Do it before you have the kids. Be the free spirit. And I took that advice very literally. And within, I think, a month, I had booked a one-way ticket to Australia. I'd never been to Australia. I had no burning desire to go to Australia either, which I think is what makes this story even more magical. And then I went to Australia on the 19th of January, and I found out afterwards that the 19th is actually one of my incredibly lucky numbers that shows up in my life. So, the 19th of January, I flew to Australia and I booked the ticket, I think, in November. A week after I got there, I met this guy called Dan at a barbecue, and the rest is history. We literally got married last month. So, what would have happened if I had have forced that job and said to those people, I need this. This has to happen this way. Or if I didn't listen to my intuition and that inner guidance that said, why don't you just go to Australia and see what happens? And so that is a really powerful reminder to me about what magic can unfold when you surrender, you let go, you listen to your intuition. So, my invitation to you today is to ask, where are you trying to control and micromanage aspects of your life or everything in your life? Is it in your job? Is it in your personal relationship? Is it in a relationship with your family? Your business, you keep trying and trying and forcing. And how does that feel? How does that feel in your mindset, in your body? Does it feel constrictive or expansive? I'm gonna guess it feels constrictive because trying to control is from this very lack energy. Surrender comes from a place of abundance, of trust. So, how can you release control and allow the universe to work on your behalf? What can you do to show that you have trust and faith in the process, in your divine timing? And my mom, when I was growing up, always said, never try to map out your life. She has an incredible story. One day I will interview her and share her life story. But basically, she had her life mapped out and about the age of 21. But she moved to the Middle East in the 70s. She married my dad, moved to the Middle East, and started working as a teacher. And she said, I'm going to do this by this age. I'm going to pay off my mortgage by this age. I'm going to buy, everything I ever dreamed of. I'll retire. I'll be a stay-at-home mom. And then the way life unfolds is that sadly, 6 months after she moved to the Middle East, her mum passed away. My dad ended up developing an alcohol addiction. They ended up moving back to the UK. They got divorced and everything sort of unraveled. And I can remember her saying, I tried to plan my life to the year and it never went the way I wanted it to. And the minute I released the grip, the minute I surrendered the expectation was when I actually began enjoying life and allowing life to come to me. And I think that's such a beautiful message. And it's something I always try to come back to because, yes, even though I do this work, of course, I still have moments when my ego takes over and I question my own timeline. And I love to remind myself that I'm exactly where I need to be and that I'm grateful for where I am today. Everything in my life has led me to this point, and that's all I need to know. So I found this beautiful quote by Eckhart Tolle where it says, sometimes surrender means giving up from trying to understand and becoming comfortable with not knowing. And if you think about it, we're born not knowing, but we're taught patterns and behaviors, and we have a structure in society that we often adhere to. We go to school, we get a job, we get married, and you don't have to live by that paradigm if you don't want to. You can create your own reality, your own set of rules to live by. You can surrender to your own desires and not feel like you need to be constantly living a life of someone else's design. So, I want to share with you a little exercise that I like to call the triangle of trust, which has been inspired by a wonderful Mike Dooley exercise. I love Mike Dooley. He has some great books on manifesting if you want to check them out. And this is such a simple way to get out of your head and into action. A lot of clients I work with, they always have these desires and they just float around in space. And a lot of the time they come to me to help them ground these desires, to help them figure out a path of how to get there. And of course, we work through limiting beliefs. We get clear on the BS stories they're telling themselves. But for so much of this, we can use the triangle of trust. So what I want you to do is to get a pen and a paper, or in your mind's eye, you can do this as well, but I would recommend writing it down. And I love nothing more than having something tangible and sticking it up, as well as looking back on it in a few years and saying, oh my gosh, I wanted to manifest this. And you find the old journal in the back of the cupboard and you see how much has manifested, and it's wild. So get a pen and a paper if you can and draw a big triangle, enough to write words in and sentences, take up the whole page. Then I'm going to ask you to draw a dotted line down the middle of the triangle. And at the top of it, you are going to write your desire, your dream. If you want to call it a goal, feel free to do that. And then on the bottom left, you're going to write your name. And on the bottom right, you're going to write the universe. Now, you can probably get an idea of how this is going to play out. Your side of the triangle is going to have anything and everything you could ever think of doing to take positive steps towards manifesting your dream. So I'm talking the physical, the logical, the spiritual, anything that you will consider to be inspired action. And it doesn't matter if they seem like complete common sense. Remember that these small steps, they're going to compound. And as Mike Dooley often says, you want to play both ends towards the middle. You want to do the spiritual and the logical too. So once you do this, you are inviting the universe to meet you halfway to co-create your dreams with you. So for example, say you were looking to meet a new partner, you would put that as your desire at the top. On the left, you might put, I'm going to message some friends to see if they know anyone. I'm going to look up some events to go to. I'm going to create a love altar. I'm going to listen to some love affirmations and subliminals. I'm going to work through my limiting beliefs. I'm going to look at stories from childhood that tell me why I'm not worthy of having a loving partner or being in a loving relationship. Maybe I'll look at my own parents' beliefs around this. You can do the same for money, jobs, manifesting a certain item. You can use this for anything. Then on the right side of the triangle, on the universe's side, I would love for you to get creative and excited and think of all of the possible happy accidents and the magic that you're going to experience that the universe is going to create with you. So add some examples here of what the universe might do. So it might help you to bump into someone at a cafe, if we're going to use that example of meeting a partner. It might bring someone from your past back into your life. It might give you a little intuitive nudge to go to a certain event on a certain day and you meet someone, which is what happened to me when I met Dan at a barbecue. And so really get creative. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no silly answers. You are the only person looking at this. And this is basically going to help you to remember what inspired action to take. Remind yourself that when you do everything on your side and you trust and you surrender to the process and that the universe is going to do its part, that is when you are going to become a magnet to your manifestations and your desires. And a little bonus tip here is to keep track of your progress, celebrate your manifestations, feel gratitude, do the visualizations, feel it in your body. Maybe you can even create a vision board and keep taking the steps. That is the most important thing you can do. Don't give up before the 11th hour because the universe always works its magic in the 11th hour. Okay. So next up, I'm going to be talking about how you can tap into your intuition. And as I said at the beginning, your intuition, it's your inner compass. It is the guiding light in your life that is telling you where to go, what to do, and you already know deep down what you want for your life. Maybe everyone around you is getting married and having the kids and works in a full-time job, and you're like, oh, I just want to move to Spain and work on my laptop and be a digital nomad and have the time of my life while I can. And be open to that change, be open to possibility. And remember, you can always change your mind just because you decided something once, or you wanted to manifest something, or you declared something, or you told someone a desire. It's not set in stone. We grow, we evolve as people all the time. We are human beings, as the saying goes, not human doings. And I even mentioned a funny story similar to this on my Instagram recently, where I said I looked back at an old vision board and I saw that I had a motorbike on it. And that was just the funniest thing in the world now to me because I don't wear all black anymore. I don't wear full leather jackets and massive heels. I just want to be outside in nature, not riding around on a motorbike. And that's growth. When you look back and you think, I listened to my intuition, I allowed myself to shed that layer of skin, to listen to my intuition when it said, hey, I want to wear light neutral, calming colors and not black all the time. I leaned into it and I basically rebranded my whole life. I completely had an overhaul in 2020. I had that crumbling, that awakening that I speak about a lot, which really started when I woke up with chronic hives one day and made me realize how much I need to overhaul my entire life. And I listened to that intuition, to that guidance. I started doing the mindset work, the gratitude, embodying feminine energy, changing what I wore, changing what I listened to, what I consumed. And it honestly has changed my life. And that's how I've ended up doing this work because I felt so inspired to help other women to change their lives too, that I know it works. I know you can change your life as well. If you are feeling like I was back then, that was only 4 years ago. And so much can happen in weeks and months. I never want you to feel like I'm behind or I should have started sooner because, as I said, everything's led you up until this point. So when it comes to your intuition, I would love for you to think about how does your intuition speak to you? How does it feel in your body? Do you find yourself leaning in and feeling excited? Do you find yourself feeling deflated and pulling back when you don't listen to it? And how does it feel when you ignore it too? That is a big one for me. Can you think of a time when you listened to your intuition and you followed it, even though it seemed so irrational, like the Australia trip, and everything turned out 100 times better than you could have ever imagined? And then can you think of a time when you ignored your intuition and how did that feel? Maybe you felt disappointed. Maybe you had this little niggle of, I knew I should have done that. I knew I should have shown up on that day. Oh my gosh. And how can you learn to listen to your intuition again? How can you learn to trust it? One thing I want you to take away today, if it's just one message, is to remember that you always have the answers inside of you. It's time to stop outsourcing your decisions. Oh my gosh, this is a message I just want to scream from the rooftops because I was someone who literally would want to buy something. I'd message my sister and be like, shall I buy this? Should I do this with my life? And I really had to claw back my autonomy and my power in my life and to feel like I could make the best decisions for myself. And I would love to invite you to do the same. Where do you find yourself constantly having a hidden desire, wanting to do something? Maybe it's a career change. Maybe you literally just want to go to a dance class or start a new hobby or do something that people would think, hey, that's a bit weird and wonderful. But you care so much about what everyone else thinks that you stop yourself doing it and you play small and you give your power away. And every time you ignore your intuition, you lead yourself further and further and further away from alignment, from living the life that you are meant to live, that your soul wants you to live, that you were put on this earth at this time. You signed this karmic contract to live. I'm going deep in the woo, but stay with me. Where can you call back your power? Where can you be your own source of inspiration? Where can you connect with your intuition throughout the day? Maybe you take some time to do an oracle card pull. Oracle cards are one of my favorite ways to guide myself and others back to my intuition. And when I do them at my circles, the women always say, oh my gosh, this is so spot on. People sometimes even cry when they see their card because it resonates so strongly with where they are at this point in their life. So, can you get yourself a set of oracle cards? Can you create yourself a mini altar with a candle, some flowers, some cards, and take time each day to connect with your intuition? Can you journal? Can you free write? Write your desire at the top of the page. And I would love you to ask yourself, what am I afraid of happening if I get this desire? Because a lot of the time we self-sabotage. It's what we're afraid of actually happening when we get our desire that overpowers the excitement of getting it. So we end up not taking the action. We end up self-sabotaging. We end up playing small, listening to the voice of judgment, listening to those voices of everyone else who says, hey, I think you're dreaming a bit too big. Why do you think you deserve that when we're from this family, when you only do this, when you only have this job? I have so much to say about this, but now it's not the time. But connect with your intuition, journal it out. Ask yourself, what do I need to know right now? And ask for that guidance from your guide, your spirit around you, from your council of light, always those with the best intention for you. Please contact them. We are only contacting light and working our light here. So, yes, tapping into your intuition is very much the first step in this process of learning to trust yourself and become your own muse. And allow the magic of life to unfold for you. So, as I said, set those intentions, listen to your own intuition, and allow life to come to you for a while. Can you create space for new energy to come into your world? Declutter your physical space, declutter your mental space. Decluttering your physical space might mean letting go of things in your life that no longer have positive memories attached to them. A lot of the clothes that I used to wear before I had the the breakthrough into wearing neutrals and wanted to feel light. And what's really funny is during that time, I was living very much in my masculine energy, which is the yang, the black. And then I had this awakening almost, this crumbling, this initiation into a new way of living, into this life of surrender and co-creation, and how divine that I chose to wear lighter shades, to embrace the yin and the white and the feminine, the moon. And I thought that was just so beautiful when I realized that many years later. And it was only through decluttering and releasing those black clothes and trusting that someone else was going to make much happier memories in them that I allowed that space in. And the same with the mental space. I sat down and I started to work through journal prompts like my life depended on it, money journal prompts, inner child journal prompts, love, abundance, happiness, self-worth. To make room for the magic to come into my life, I had to pick up the weeds, the roots of the weeds as well, and really grab them and rip them up from my mind to allow new beliefs to take their place, to plant flowers in their place, something that's way more beautiful and positive. So, allowing the magic as well to unfold in your life also relates to ritual, in my opinion. I find that ritual is so grounding and so powerful, especially in a world where we are a million miles an hour. We thrive off instant gratification. Ritual is so beautiful to come back to. It's like an inner knowing. A lot of the women I work with and the women that do my courses, they say it's awoken something within me, but I feel like it's always been there. And that is such a potent thing to remember that we've always worked with the cycles of the moon. We've always listened to our intuition and our guidance. We've always been working with the magic of the universe around us. It's simply a remembering, it's a rewilding, a reconnecting. So as I said, can you create that altar? Can you start a gratitude list? Can you repeat affirmations to yourself to help amplify your own manifestations? And where in your life can you create moments of ritual? Can you simply draw a heart over your cup of coffee and remind yourself every time you drink that coffee that love is coming into your life? Can you light a green candle once a day and remember that more money is always on its way to you? You're an abundant being. Money is like the tide, as Dolly Parton says, it flows in and it flows out, but you can never try and clutch it. Such a beautiful sentiment. And think of where in your day you can pepper in mini moments of ritual. It doesn't have to be a 3 hour, 5 a.m. club because I am so not about that life. Now I'm living and embodying my feminine energy more. I trust my body that it wants to wake up at a certain time. Maybe some days it wants to sleep in, especially if it's when I'm PMSing or it's on my bleed and my body is craving more rest. I give into it now. I don't exercise when my body wants to be resting. I'm very gentle with it. I nurture it. I tend to it, much like a garden or a flower, rather than judging it and being critical and forcing it, as I talked about at the beginning of this session. And another way you can embrace the magic of life is to celebrate the synchronicities and to look for the moments of synchronicity. And these are just such beautiful winks from the universe that you are on the right path. Maybe you are talking about wanting to go to an event or meet a certain person or manifest a certain amount of money, and you keep seeing that number everywhere. You keep seeing the event everywhere. People start talking about it. You hear it in podcasts. And all these, they're little nudges and signs to say, hey, you're on the right path. Keep going. Don't stop. And remember that life is always unfolding exactly how it should. And you only have to be open. You only have to be taking those steps and remembering that you are so powerful that you can co-create the magic. And as I said, you are the muse of your own life, which leads me so nicely onto my next point, which is the three principles of being your own muse. And I would love for you to write these down somewhere or come back to them and ask yourself at the end of the day, hey, did I do any of these? Where could I maybe lean into one of them more? And the first one is to trust yourself. So be honest about where you are and where you truly desire to be. Ignore all the stories of how everyone else thinks you should live. you can even think about or meditate upon or write out if money or a house or whatever it is was no object in my life, if it could not hold me back, what would I do with my life? Where would I go? What would I be? How would I spend my time? What would my work be? What would my purpose be? How would I serve others? And then take radical responsibility for your part in your life, for where you have got to up until this moment, whether you perceive that to be positive or negative, and forgive yourself or anyone else for their part that has been played. Forgiveness is just so underrated. And I have a whole session on this in my Feminine Flow course with so many journal prompts and exercises to do because we can always keep going deeper with forgiveness and asking ourselves where are we holding on to resentment. And I am a big believer that unprocessed forgiveness is manifesting in the body as unwellness or illness. And I've definitely experienced that in myself. As I said, I was very critical of my body and I was constantly ill because I didn't cherish it. I didn't love it. I was mad at it for not being able to run faster or lift heavier or not have the certain abs. And the irony that when I released all of that expectation and stopped forcing it, that I became the most comfortable. My body is in the best shape it's ever been. And I think that's because I have such positive thoughts towards it. I've forgiven myself for the the pain I put myself through, and I've chosen to nourish and nurture my body and to love it. And that's so powerful. We only get one body. The love we show it, the way we speak to it really impacts us and our perception of ourselves and how we then go out into the world and allow others to treat us. My mum would always say when I was growing up, people put the same price on you that you put on yourself. So, how can you trust yourself and know that you have the answers within? There's no magic pill, there's no magic fix. The relationship, the coach, the job is not going to fix you. And I say this as a coach, and people laugh sometimes because obviously they say, well, why would someone work with you then if you say there's no magic fix? My job here is not to fix you. My role is never to try to turn you into someone that you're not supposed to be. My job is to walk beside you and to guide you back home to yourself, to remind you of your power, to help you to reconnect with your own inner desires, your purpose, your dreams, to become the muse of your own life. And that leads me perfectly on to my next point, which is daring to dream. What would your life be if anything was possible for you? What if you're the cycle breaker? Who here feels like they are the cycle breaker in their family? I know my sister and I definitely do. What if your desire exists in your heart because you are meant to manifest it? I remember someone saying once that, we spend 95% of our day in our subconscious mind. And it's like when you drive a car, you never really think about the fact you're pressing the brake or the accelerator or you're indicating. You just do. And so much of our life is just doing without thought. We become hardwired to just go through on automatic pilot. But what if a desire has come through from your subconscious, the 95%, into the 5% conscious? What does that mean? Isn't that wild? Surely you're supposed to do something about it if your conscious mind is now telling you, hey, this would be nice. Hey, why not manifest this? And really think about where you are talking yourself out of your dreams and your desires and why. Where are those limiting beliefs coming up? Where are you self sabotaging? Where are you not trusting? And take that time to work through those. As I said, rip out the weeds, replace them with the flowers. That's what we are doing. And we are being the loving observer of our thoughts, never judging, Simply saying, thank you for doing risk assessment, but I don't need you right now. And I've got it. I can take it from here because I am the powerful creator of my life. And I know that I can manifest whatever desires I have. I can become that energetic match. I know the systems and the steps to take, and I will manifest it in divine timing. And can you even make a list of the times when you've manifested incredible things in your life before to show yourself just how powerful you really are? Something I like to do is create a vision board at the beginning of the year. And sometimes I'll rejig it halfway through the year because maybe my priorities have changed. I've actually realized I'm not aligned to something anymore, but I will still keep some of the things I've manifested on that vision board because I am showing my subconscious mind that, hey, this was possible. So surely the rest of them are possible as well. And you can start with incrementally upgrading your life. If having the huge dream house seems like a bit of a stretch for you, can you simply book a night in a gorgeous hotel to tap into that experience? Can you go and work in the cafe of a beautiful hotel and tap into that experience for literally the price of a coffee? Dare to dream big and look for small moments in your life where you can be tapping into that expansive energy and showing your brain that it is safe to manifest this. Another little tip I can share with you is to get a piece of paper, write down um, 3 things or 5 things you've manifested, but leave a gap in between each of them. And then in those gaps, in the lines, you're going to write out what you are desiring to manifest. And again, this is like the vision board trick. You are tricking your subconscious into going, oh, yeah, that's already manifested. And of course, we always talk about our manifestations in the present tense or the past tense, never the future tense, because that way they're always going to stay in the future and never going to manifest. My last principle of being your own muse is, of course, to be your own inspiration. Take small steps every day towards manifesting those dreams. Come back to that triangle of trust. Ask, what can I do today to do my part to show the universe that I am manifesting this? I am so worthy. I'm showing up. I'm not just going to put my desires on the back burner because you know what happens when you keep putting those desires on the back burner? They stay there. And something else will always come up to take that place. You have to carve the time out. You have to make yourself the priority and claim your dreams. Don't wait for them to manifest through someone else to show you what's possible. I can remember when I started my energy gel business, Vala, I read something that said the universe is always looking for people to manifest through. And if you turn up that opportunity, it's going to manifest through someone else. And I remember thinking, no, I really want to be the one this manifests through. I have such a powerful vision. I have lives I need to change. I have people I need to help. I need to take this action. And that really lit a fire in me to chase that dream, to overcome the odds, to keep going, even when I was getting email after email after email of people saying, this is never going to happen. You're never going to make it viable or possible. You're never going to find a factory. No one's going to give you funding. No one's going to pay that for an energy gel. And then what happened 4 years later? I have a hugely successful energy gel business with 5 major awards, 12 national magazine features, nearly 40,000 manufactured to date. And I could go on. And I found my factories, I found my people, and I manifested them. And I didn't wait for someone to tell me that it was possible. I believed in myself and I was my own inspiration. And this is my invitation for you today to be your own inspiration too. Know that you are worthy as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to be more like her or Jessica down the road. You don't need to lose 10 pounds. You are perfect as you are. Start taking the action. please start today, because otherwise you're going to look back in 3 years and wish you'd started sooner. I definitely feel that way about my coaching business. I put it on the back burner for a long time. When I look back through my life, I can see that my purpose was always to help and mentor and support. I worked in advertising as an art director and a designer. Nothing to do with coaching or mentorship. But guess what? I had people that worked with me that were more junior than me. And I took it upon myself to nurture these people like my little baby birds and ducklings, and to cherish them and to believe in them and to show them what's possible and to help them to see the power in themselves. And then what happened? I went and started Vala, and then I would get other business owners ringing me up saying, "Can I have a chat? I'm stuck." And then I would end up basically coaching them and mentoring them and sharing all this advice and tips and tricks and wisdom with them. And then eventually I listened to the call in and I said, okay, I'm going to do this after countless people told me, why aren't you a coach? Why don't you mentor full time? Can I pay you for a session? I remember thinking, I need to get certified. And the more I do this work, the more it feels like my homecoming, the more I become my own muse and I reconnect with my own power. And I see that this is what I was always meant to be. And I know you have something in your own life that you feel this way about, but you keep putting it off. You keep telling yourself, oh, when I've got more time, when I've got more money, but there's never more time or more money available to you than right now. Start taking that inspired action and begin rewilding yourself back to who you were always meant to be before all of your parents, your friends, your primary caregivers, your teachers projected a version of you onto you that they wanted to see. That's not actually you. And spend some more time in your feminine energy. Take that time each day to ground, get outside with nature, eat that nourishing food, meditate, visualize, spend time with animals. That's basically my dream day. In case you were wondering, just hanging out at home, eating yummy food, going for a walk, having a nap, journaling, meditating, living my absolute best life. How can you do the same? And so, my loves, that brings me to the end of today's session. And what a session it was. So much came through that I was not expecting to say. And I love to free flow and channel as I do these trainings. Anyone that's ever coached with me will know this is the exact way I love to coach. Very fluid, very non-linear and open, and allowing guidance to come through. So if you're ready to awaken your own muse, to let your own magic to shine through and embrace your softer, intuitive feminine side, I would love to invite you to join my transformative coaching program. This is where feminine energy meets manifestation, and I'll help you to go from forcing to flowing into your feminine, to becoming that magnet to your manifestations. And over 6 months, you'll get 12 1 hour calls, you'll get Voxer support. Investment is £3,000 for paid in full, or you can do a 6 month payment plan for £3,500, which works out as £583 per month. But I have a very exclusive offer for you today until the 14th of August. Pay in full will be 20% off, so £2,400 instead of 3,000. And the payment plan will be 2,800. So that will be £466 per month. And if you would rather do an extended payment plan, pay a little bit more before we start, do let me know. Get in touch with me. Email me hello@gemwilsoncoaching.com. Message me on Instagram @groundinthegem, and I would be so happy to help, because I want more women just like you to reclaim the feminine, to remember that there's so much power in transmuting that fear into fire and using that fire to propel you forward in life, to inspire you to go after your own dreams. So, a couple of my previous muses I wanted to share with you as well that I am so proud of and who have honestly transformed their lives, their businesses, their mindsets. First off is Katie, who says, I'm like a completely different person from when we started working together. My confidence has come back, and it all started with working with you as a coach. Thank you for helping me and believing in me. And she went from being burned out in a corporate job, in a relationship that she felt was very unhealthy, and wanting to work overseas, wanting to travel. She did that during our time together. She ended the relationship. She negotiated a pay rise. She moved overseas to Portugal and is just absolutely living her dream. I'm so happy for her. The next step, we have the beautiful Mel, who says, I've become more confident in my business. I believe in myself more, and I've transformed my relationship with money. I've learned to practice self care, make authentic business connections, and stay grounded. And Mel is honestly still going from strength to strength. I'm in awe of her. She recently launched her Ibiza retreat, sold it out, I think, within a day. What a woman, what a goddess. And this has all been through getting clear about what she wanted to create, how she wanted to feel in her day, creating the dream schedule, and transforming her relationship with money, as she said, and seeing money as a really powerful, beautiful thing in her life that loves her too. And then last step, we have Charlotte, who said, Gem has helped me to approach uncharted territory with a relaxed and grounded attitude. I've replaced challenge and overwhelm with curiosity. I've fallen out of fear and back into love with what I do. And Charlotte again keeps going from strength to strength. And she's such an inspiration and has this beautiful way of fusing the spiritual with the practical and the tangible, which is just such a dream to be around as well. Okay, my goddesses, this is my final invitation to call back your power and become your own muse in your own life. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been magical as ever. If you enjoyed, feel free to tag me at Grounded with Gem wherever you are watching or listening. And what your biggest takeaway was, do let me know. And any other thoughts or musings, please feel free to share with me. I'm sending you so much love and gratitude, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.